I've asked people, like, do you ever have that little voice in your head, the negative voice that says something, and then you're fighting it? And I'm curious whether you have that voice today or you had that voice, and what did that voice tell you?
That voice has been very prominent in my life.
As a human being, especially as an entrepreneur, I often believe we all have this little thing that sits in our head. It's like a little person that says things to us, sometimes that are not very positive.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, but I remember I read this book by this explorer, Ranulph Fiennes. He's this guy who goes all around the world, climbed all the big mountains, and he did he went like a 1 week of running marathons day after day, and he got a heart attack in the middle of it and kept running. And they asked him, like, why would you do that? And he said, it beat the little voice in my head. It beat the little voice that's telling me I can't. So I know I've had a voice in my head. Even I'm 52 years old, I've had this voice that tells me you're too young, like you're too inexperienced. I'm curious if you have a voice. Is there that thing in your head and you're like, shut up? And you're in a meeting and you hear people saying things, but they're not saying things to you. Do you have that?
Oh, yes, I do. It's on loudspeaker. I've got a Dolby surround sound.
What does it tell you?
Yeah, I really do. Yeah, like, you have no right to do that. Who do you think you are, Lisa? And the thing is I've tried to read all the books.
Does it say any words to you, but does it say a specific word? Lisa, you're too blank, or you're not enough blank. I'll just, stupid. Yeah. I heard that from you. You told a couple stories and I heard you say that a couple of times. And I told the producer, I said, she has that voice in her head that tells her stupid. Mine says you're too young. When I went public, I was only 30 something years old, and people, you're too young. When I hired my first sales guy, you're too young. You don't know what you're doing. I'll tell you what to do. And and then sometimes I had to find like a gray-haired old man as a mentor, and they were crappy people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so stupid is in your head a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
What is that? I've always tried to figure out what the heck is that thing.
Yeah, I've really tried to identify it because I've recognized it's my trigger. And I've recognized that because me and my husband would get into really weird arguments. And he's just like, and then when you really, because we really do love communicating. So once you peel back the onion, as you like to say, we started to really realize that, or at least I started to realize it was always the way I would get upset if he started to use language or a tone that made me feel stupid. And I identified that. So I was like, okay, I've got a trigger. Now I've identified my trigger. I know it. I told him, I was like, it's when you do X, Y, and Z. So he knows how I'm being triggered. And now I looked back and I said, why are you triggered like that? And the truth was my brother and my sister are incredibly gifted at math and academics. And growing up, I wasn't. I was the artist. I was the kid that really struggled. I was mildly dyslexic, still get my B's and my D's mixed up, my G's and my J's, even now in my 40s. But as a kid, I literally thought I was stupid. No one explained to me. No one knew what dyslexia was. So I just thought I was stupid. And so I would literally at dinner sometimes, God bless my father, but he would throw math quizzes at you. And so my brother and my sister are like this, and I'm like, oh God, and I'm like using my fingers, and it creates anxiety, right? As a kid where you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get picked on. I'm going to get, people are going to know that I can't do math as quickly. So I started to develop an insecurity over that for sure. And I recognized that as I started to enter business, and I started to recognize that I can't allow that, because there are going to be times that I am stupid in comparison to the people around me. And now, going back to the negative voice, if it's telling me that, right, I have choices. I can either try and switch it off, turn it down, or use it to my advantage. I've tried switching it off, Rob. I don't know about you. Never works.
I know.
No matter how many people just like, don't listen to it.
Yeah, don't listen to it. I know.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm a person of like, no, actually tell me what works. Give me what works. I need to do what works, because all this like frilly, just don't listen to it, like language, while I wish it was true, it's not. So I tried that, didn't work. I go, okay, doesn't work. It still makes me feel badly. So now I've got another choice. I can either try and turn it down, I can either, right, and turn it down, meaning you're
don't
not
maybe don't be emotional about it. You hear it in your head, but you don't act on it. Maybe like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's still there, but you're not allowing it to be. It's almost more like background radiation than it is the Dolby surround sound, right? But even that, it's just like it's not. So even turning it down, it hasn't served me. It hasn't actually made a huge amount of difference. But if I can use it as my friend, all right, now I'm not actively pushing it away. Now I'm greeting it with open arms. Now, how do you do that? It's all about perspective. So when it starts, and I have like almost like a mental list of questions. So if it's like, oh my God, Lisa, you're so stupid. Let's say in a scenario, let's say I'm talking to you, say something like, I have no idea what that man's talking about. Like, business, oh Jesus. Right. And now I'm starting to feel stupid. That voice starts coming in, oh my God, you're stupid. Now, what I do is say, okay, friend, thank you for telling me that. What can I learn from this? And I actually use that language. Thank you, friend. Call it a friend. Thank you, friend. What can I learn? Because now I see it as my friend is helping me out. So what can I learn from this? All right. So he's talking about, going public. I've never experienced going public. I have freaking no idea what it takes to take a business public. So I go, okay, cool. I don't know about taking a business public. And so now I've recognized what the trigger is, the actual thing. And I can go, okay, well, the great news is now I've got someone right in front of me that knows I can learn. Oh my God. Okay. So Rob, how do you take a business public? So now I've gone from feeling stupid to now empowering myself to learn. So now after this encounter, I don't leave feeling stupid. I now leave feeling even more empowered because I've just learned something that no one can take away from me.
Yeah, and I think there's such great lessons in what you just spoke about how do you turn it around. But I think also recognizing, this is one of the things I wanted to do, having these honest conversations, that if you're out there and you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have this voice. Mm-hmm. I'm too young, Lisa's stupid, someone else is whatever. And it's natural. It's how we react to it. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs that just react. They're reacting to it. Like, I am stupid. And you reinforce it until you think, I can't move forward. I'm frozen. So I think it's amazing what you've done. It's such a hard thing. I think it's the ultimate wall. The ultimate wall to me is the mental wall. It's not the product wall. You said, I can look on the internet and figure out how to make a pallet go out of a warehouse, right? But it's hard because it's such a personal thing. You don't go on the internet like, what makes me say I'm stupid? Like, I know there's be 1,000 articles, but me, what makes Lisa? It's very different than what makes Rob. So I think if you're an entrepreneur out there, I think what we're trying to say is that you're going to have this voice. It's natural. It may be even what drives you. It may even be the thing that drives you to be this person that you want to be, right? I don't know what you think. If it's,
I love that you said that, Rob. Literally, I was like, it's so true because it does drive me. Oh, you don't want to feel stupid next time? Find out.
Be smart, right? You're like, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better than everyone. I'm going to go big. So is there a voice that you've had in your head that you've had to kind of beat throughout your life?
Yeah, that is definitely the voice of I'm not good enough, right? That I'm just white trash. I'm not, I'm the kid in the mountains that's not even worth, that is going to get bought and sold because I'm of no value whatsoever, right? So a lot of my early upbringing was all about proving that. Why do you think, like, I'm going to show everybody it doesn't matter. You want to be smart? Try to be outsmarter than me. Like, you want to be successful in business? Try. Like I said, I'm valedictorian. I've got awards here on the wall. There's my Guinness World Record. Over here, I've got my nice little trophy for scientific achievement. I thought that if I could just outperform everyone, that voice would disappear, that there would be no reason for anyone to ever criticize me. But you find out at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the hell you do. There's people that are just going to criticize you and be the way that they are. And you've got to learn to be like, okay, those aren't my people and it just doesn't matter. And move on and, be yourself. And it's a hard thing to get there. And I don't know if you're ever truly there, but you can move to where it's almost there. Right. And, but yeah, I mean, why the hell do you think I pushed those extremes? Yeah, I was valedictorian in high school. I had the highest graduating engineering GPA. I was state champ wrestler. I was, come on, like, can you not see that?
That's what I always like to ask the question, because I'm like, we all have this thing in our head, and I think either we succumb to it and we think I'm white trash, not smart enough. Mine was like I was too young. I was always too young. I was like a kid. Like I went public very early. I was 33, and I'm too young to run a public company. And I always had to have like older people around. Like you start to build this thing, and then you realize like, oh, my job is to beat that thing, to show the world that thing. Whoever put that in my head, it's a motivating force, right? It's almost like a little coach. It's like a negative coach.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you shared that with us. I've asked people like, do you ever have that little voice in your head, the negative voice that says something, and then you're fighting it? And I'm curious whether you have that voice today or you had that voice, and what did that voice tell you?
That voice has been very prominent in my life. It's been around many times. It's told me that you don't want to do this because you can't handle it, that you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to fall back into the same cycles that you've done, and that don't bother even trying this, because it's going to lead you back to the same results, which of overwhelmingness and not wanting to do anything down the road, and it's just not worth it. But I feel I have a duty. I feel I have a duty to use, and this is the how. It's my problem solving capabilities to be able to be of service, which is my what, and why, because it makes me happy. So the what, the why, and the how is to be of service because it makes me happy is the why. And then the how is my perfect formula models to help as many people and be of service. And I think I have something unique that I can offer, and I think I have to do that. So I got to figure out this balance of how I maintain my balance. And a lot of it I've figured out is just waking up extra early and having time to myself and being mindful and slowing down. Very, very important.
Slow down. You said slow down.
Yeah, and then I tell myself to talk slower, because I can get super passionate and talk fast. But slow down. Slowing down and being in the present it's remarkably powerful. And
how many tricks do you, like you said, you wake up early in the morning? I think this is a great piece of advice for people out there living their purpose and building companies, which is like a lot of times you're under that stress wheel. You're under, I call it the hamster wheel. You're kind of, and then you can't get off and you get burned out. So like, what's sort of your, tricks of the slowdown?
The brains are not equipped to handle the amount of stimuli that is being entering our brains on a daily basis. And unfortunately, the older you get, the more challenging it is for people to understand what's happening in the speed of technology and the speed of innovation and the speed of people trying to subliminally or get into your heads to do things. It's very challenging. The fact that people can hold that off is remarkable. So it's what I've realized I've had to do, and I'm still challenging myself with it, and I'm still getting the situations that I know are not, you get on a certain run with things and things engulf you and it gets out of control, and you got to figure out ways to bring that back before you need massive resets. So for me, the biggest thing that I've learned over the last couple of years in my striving to figure out how I maintain balance, because I want to change the world. I want to get there, but I can't go through the same cycles of overwhelmingness and situations in the past. So I've had to figure out ways to solve that problem. And for me, getting to bed early and being disciplined and getting up early, getting up around 3 o'clock. I was up 2 o'clock this morning, and have time to myself.
What time do you go to bed? What time do you go to bed?
9 o'clock, 8, 9, 10. Whenever I'm tired, I do a few hours of myself after the workday, and then I get up super early and I have 5-6 hours to myself of me time that I can get through my stuff and have hours to spare still, instead of waking up at a time where I just get overwhelmed. And I'm like, the more you do things, the more your email box grows, the more commitments that people are trying to get from your time, the more you're trying to give back to people and try to do this. It's challenging, and it's tough. And a lot of people don't understand what it's like sometimes to be overwhelmed with that. But my 5 hours in the morning allows me to really slow down and get my thought processes and creativity going. That's been the biggest change for me, and I feel super balanced right now, and super thrilled with where I want to go, what's driving me right now. My mission to be of service is really driving me to sell my company, to be able to take what I built over the last 8 years of tools to empower people to be in control of their lives. The technology that brings Bitcoin, Ethereum to the masses is what I've been building for years, and be able to take that and then be able to say, that's the last business that I'm doing for profit.
Gotcha. And then you want to take the perfect, I guess it's this idea of the perfect formula, which you're saying you want to give that over to the world as a gift or use that to make real impact into the world we live in.
Yeah, it's a general framework that I've got a paper coming out very shortly of a way to the framework for using principles, tools, and processes to provide results that I think are optimum and can work on any problem. And that's my goal, is to kind of bring this to the masses. But that's kind of just the framework for my next thing that I'm going to be doing, which is really the focus around changing incentive structures from maximizing shareholder returns to maximizing positive impact, and getting a shift to showcase that the more positive impact that you're creating, the more you'll get those maximized returns. Not, I'm going to go for maximized returns, I'm going to limit the amount of shareholders that are in the mix, and I'm going to end up with a whole slew of people that are not behind what I'm doing. In fact, might be getting harmed by what I'm doing. And the recognition that people will get behind brands and icons that do things that are helping you. And that's really the movement that's happening, is that people want to be associated with these organizations that are helping life, improving situations. And that's kind of where I would like to help spearhead that movement, to showcase there's another way of doing things, which you'll still get what you want, but if you do it in a way that's helping more stakeholders and bringing more people onto what it is you're doing, and you're providing wins from them, your life will be easier. Your life will be so much easier. But it's just about thinking differently to get to that area that is beyond that's the way it's always been, that's the way it's always going to be.
I want to ask you a question I ask everybody, and it's about this thing I call the gremlin in your head. Sometimes we can have a voice in our head that's not so positive, that's telling us things, and we almost feel like we have to fight it. And I've had different people tell me what the voice is. And I was wondering if you have one of these voices in your head sometimes, like a little gremlin, you're like, shh, and you have to beat the gremlin. Do you have something like that?
You know, not anymore. Maybe there was years and years ago, and I don't remember it right now, but it would be very difficult given all of my accolades, you know, from Emmy Award winners twice to, you know, named twice by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world, the 100 most powerful women in the world by Barron's when it comes to finance, by Forbes magazine, the most successful fundraiser in the history of public television, having raised now over $250 million for them, and on and on and on. The #1 show on CNBC, I'm on QVC or HSN, and on and on. The list just goes on, Rob.
Yeah, but you still don't have. Yeah, no gremlin.
Now it's like I choose. Here's the thing, I'll never forget this. I was doing The View, and this was when Barbara Walters was still on it, and it's live. And we were sitting there and we were just talking, and I was telling everybody how happy I was and everything. Now we go live. And Barbara Walters says to me, Suze Orman, why are you always so damn happy? And I say to her, because I never do anything I don't want to do. And because I don't do anything I don't want to do, I don't have these gremlins. I don't have these regrets. I don't have these things of, oh God, I have to do this today. I don't want to do this. Everything I accept, everything to interview, whatever, I want to do it. Why would I do it? All the companies that have come to me, the FinTech companies, to say, be our partner, do this, we'll do that. It's like, no. Until recently I said yes, which I was telling you when we were, before the podcast, I did co-founded my first company here called securesave.com. But because I wanted to do it, I loved the idea. More important than was it going to succeed or not, I wanted to know, was it real and did people want it? And if people wanted it, then I was going to do it. Not did we want it as co-founders. It's what do the people want? And the people will always tell you what they want. And I just follow that lead.
That's awesome. So if you want to beat it, that's a good piece of advice. You want to beat it, just follow what you want to do. Don't follow other people's words. Just follow what you want to do. Wake up in the morning, do what you want to do. And then you don't have to worry about the gremlin. And
also you have to have blindfolds on. You're starting down a path. You want to do something, and then somebody comes to you with an idea, and all of a sudden you go off the path, and that fails, and you were on the path for success. But because somebody else came to you with a concept, all of a sudden now you're giving up this thing that you were doing. So the other thing that's really important is you all have to keep good company. You have to keep good company in that where people encourage you to try versus like, that's a horrible idea. That's not going to work. Suze Orman, you don't know how to write a book. Who's ever going to buy a book that don't think that that they didn't tell me that? Friends of mine, my girlfriend at the time, Melissa, who's ever, that's ridiculous, Suze Orman. That's not going to happen. That was the 9 steps to financial freedom. Okay. That's besides the point. All right. But you have to keep good company, and you have to keep blindfolders on, and you cannot multitask. You have to do one thing, and you have to do it better than anybody else.
Stay focused. Do the one thing great.